Hey folks, welcome to Hobby Shire. My name is Chris and today we will be creating a homemade dry brush palette. I know it's been a while since my last video, but long story short, I ended up having a short stay in the hospital, and then when I did come home, I was confined to bed rest for a bit. I'm still on the mend, but I really wanted to make a video because I was just going stir crazy in bed, so here we are. Those of you who watched my ruined temple tutorial saw that within it I made a summoning portal out of resin, and before I put in the resin I had textured the bottom of the portal. Since you wouldn't really see that textured bottom, I pretty much used it to prepare my brush for all the dry brushing I did throughout that whole tutorial. I liked doing it so much that I decided to make myself one for that specific purpose, because in my opinion it's much better than just using some tissue and then having to guess if you've wiped enough off the brush. There's been so many times I thought that I had wiped enough paint off my brush, and then I went to use it on my model and found out I still had so much paint on there. Doing it with a palette that has texture on it allows you to see exactly what it's going to look like, and it'll save you from them kind of mishaps. So without further ado, let's make a cup of tea and get started. I'm going to try and keep this video short, as I've had a couple of people say that my videos are too long, and maybe I babble too much, I don't know. I just try to include every step to be as helpful as possible, but anyway, I'll try and make this one a quickie. To make this dry brushing palette, we will need some foam. I'm using XPS, but you can use EPS or any other material like that, like cardboard, chipboard, PVC, or anything really. I used my Proxon to cut the base of the palette to my desired shape. I'm going with a squarish shape, but any shape would work. Whilst I have the Proxon out, I make a bunch of other shapes too, like some bricks and stuff. I don't yet know what I will use specifically, as I haven't completely decided on this design yet. I'm making this up as I go along, but I just want to have the options there readily prepared should I choose to use them. The bricks I made are mostly 2 cm long with 1 cm thickness and height, but I also made a few bigger ones to represent slabs of concrete too. I tossed them all together into my magic tub. I add some rough edged rocks to the mix and then I give it a good shake. This is a super quick and easy way to texture all the bricks in one fell swoop. When I've shaken them for about 3 minutes, I pour them out, take away the little rocks, and as you can see, it worked perfectly and they all look great. Next step, I take some super tacky glue that I bought from the range and I go around the edge of the base with it. Doing it this way will be quicker than having to place glue on each individual brick. I did have a couple of issues getting the glue to come out of the spout because it kept randomly blocking up and then bursting free. As you might have seen in the video, I did get a bit frustrated with that. But once I had all the glue I needed, I then just used a lollipop stick to spread out any excess that had burst out against my will. With that done, it was just a case of putting the little textured bricks in place and building a tiny wall. I will say that you don't need walls on your palette, you can literally just texture your base and leave it there, that's absolutely fine. But I wanted to add this brick wall for no other reason than to just make it a bit more interesting and add some spice into the mix. So yes, this step is completely unnecessary, but I just wanted to do it anyway, so I did. If you want to copy along and do the bricks, just take your time, line them up, not too neatly, because if you're like me and you want your walls to look crooked and man-made rather than perfectly uniform like a machine-made product. Once you've done the first layer, just add more glue on top of that layer of bricks and then add another layer of bricks, going as high as you want to. I decided to go 2 bricks high, more than enough for the style I was going for. With the 2 layers of bricks in place, I used these little slabs on the top to kind of like cap the wall, and I really like how it turned out. Now it's time to texture the base. I wanted a random variety of different textures, so I just grabbed a bunch of stuff that I had on hand, like some chunky sand, some little rocks, some dried up tea leaves, some cork mix, even some little tiny beads that I found in the nail art section of Home Bargains. I covered the whole of the base in cheap PVA glue and then spread it out with a brush. Just make sure to wash your brush after you've finished, or it's going to dry rock hard. Once I had the glue everywhere, I just threw down the different bits of texture in random places, like a little rock I had left over from when I made some out of plaster. It had a nice textured surface, so I put that in the middle and then I just worked around it, going through each ingredient I had one by one. It doesn't have to look fancy or nice, all you are trying to do is make different textured surfaces to wipe your paintbrush on. I covered the whole thing and then I tilted the palette back and forth at different angles to spread it out as best I could. Again, I wasn't trying to be neat in any way, I was just trying to ensure that there was no smooth area visible and that all the PVA glue I had put down was covered. After that, I gave it a spray in iso alcohol and then a spray in watered down PVA to reinforce it all and make sure that when it did dry, it would be solid and sturdy. And then I left it to dry whilst I went and spent the rest of the day binge watching the new Fallout TV series, which by the way I just think is absolutely awesome. The next day it was all completely dry. Now I didn't need to paint this as well. It's a palette, so it's going to end up getting paint all over it anyway through normal use. But I did want to make sure it was nice and sealed, so I took some Mod Podge with a bit of black paint in it and I covered the whole thing in that. If you don't know, Mod Podge isn't just a glue. It has some varnish and other stuff in it that just makes it a perfect sealant. And that's it folks, we are done. We've now got a brilliant dry brush palette ready for use in future projects. I hope this video wasn't too long for you. I am very new to all this YouTube and video editing stuff and I'm trying to improve with every video. So if you have any advice, feel free to let me know. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and directing your friends to my channel to help it grow. Because like I say, we are very new. Every little helps. Thanks so much and I'll see you in the next one. Toodaloo.